Hello? Hello, there we go. That was an interesting delay. I hit change from the video and nothing popped up. Hope it's working now. Let me know. I also am juggling still audio issues. Let me know if the audio is okay. Probably going to have to order a new computer today. This one's, just not up to the task anymore. So, how's everyone doing this morning? Are we going to get a government shutdown? Well, a lot of employees might be like, "Oh, if there's a shutdown." They want this shutdown. They're going to use it as an excuse to get rid of a lot more federal employees. So that's the strategy there. That's all I'm going to say about that. We had Jefferson speaking. Thank you again. Sterling's back, everyone. Sterling's back in full force we got a full litany of headlines rolling across thanks to Sterling. Good morning, Patrick. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Fed's Jefferson inflation to fall next year and hit 2% in coming years. Okay, we're not going to talk about it. Get rid of the Fed. Get rid of the Fed. Don't even want a Fed I don't want a Fed that's not independent and is technically not independent now. And I definitely don't want a Fed at period. So let's just go with that. Good morning, Sterling. Good morning, John. All right, so good morning, Martinez. Good morning, Royal Palms. Fed's Collins, it may be appropriate to cut rates again if data supports easing. Do these people just go out there to hear themselves talk? Are they? Why? Why do we have to have all this Fed speak? Why? I think they're just trying to justify their existence. Inflation elevated in the next year, then should ease. Haven't they said it's been elevated for how friggin' long? They should ease? Then it should ease. Well, how many months has it been above their target? Like 54 or 58? I don't even remember at this point. So let's just leave it at that. Good morning, Tony. Hello, Charles. Good morning, OD Green. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Daniel. Nice. I was asleep to short it though. Do not short gold yet. There will be I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a time to short gold again. There's going to be a time. Right now, it's long. Why do I say that? Is because it's not just trading off of a fundamental. It's gone sort of somewhat parabolic, especially with the late force of retail just rushing in to buy it hand over fist now. It's gone somewhat vertical. It's very overextended. Take a look at the monthly chart. And could it really drop substantially, especially if we have a significant market pullback? Yes. So I hate when that happens. There we go. Hey, I'm glad everything's good there. So, all right. We got last day of the month. Fine, and it's actually last day of the quarter, too. Last day of the quarter, and this is because of the quarterly reporting for funds and everything. You can get some window dressing put on. We could see some interesting movements. Today also, not the government shutdown affects the market even in the medium term or long term that much, but it can have just some overall short-term reactions, even though it doesn't really affect stocks. I mean, it can slightly affect GDP, slightly, but that's not going to... It'll mostly be off headlines. Good morning, Heinrich. So, that's going to be in the news cycle, the shutdown. See if it, and I would bet it does happen. It's just a duration, and again, as Sterling put in yesterday, that will affect non-farm payrolls this Friday, but again, they can release it at any point before the Fed meeting. Remember, the Fed meeting isn't for 29 more days. So if you only have a week of shutdown, we'll still get the numbers. All right, we'll still get the numbers before the Fed meeting. Now, if the shutdown goes 45 days or something, no, we will not have these numbers. And then what's the Fed going to do? What are they going to do? It's going to be outright Fed panic. So, what else we have? We had the home price index coming off, still year over year, 2.3%, month over month dropping. Home prices slightly dropping. We have the Chicago PMI coming up, still expected to be in contraction. We have the JOLTS job openings coming up, which the market's been focused on a lot recently. So pay attention to 10 a.m. Eastern. Also 10 a.m. Eastern, we have the Consumer Board Consumer Confidence number. Then we have Dallas Fed Services Index at 10:30. And lucky for us, we can't get through the afternoon without more Fed speak. Even this evening, when you're trying to have a peaceful dinner, we have more Fed speak. So, hey, Christoph, how are you today, buddy? What is the consensus view in the U.S. regarding the shutdown? Expecting it? Yes, it's expected to happen. I think, what would Goldman, one of them said, this 7 to 10 days, maybe? Again, that's from Goldman. We'll get a shutdown. And I doubt it will be resolved this week. Let's just put it that way. So, we'll at least go into next week is my bet. Now, Sterling, can you answer this? Not even, maybe you do know. Maybe you do know why, if there's a majority in the House and the Senate of Republicans, why can't the Republicans pass a budget to prevent a shutdown? Why, I'm just wondering. This is actually, I have not looked this up yet. I'm wondering if there's a majority in the House and the Senate, why can't anything be passed? I'm wondering. It's an honest question. Just something I've just been thinking about. There was a mudslide in Grasberg a few weeks ago to shutting down the second largest copper mine. We will take a look at that. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I really appreciate everybody putting things into the chat. Thank you for all participating. And people in the background, please participate. And people on, okay, it's synced. Rusty said he's over on Rumble. Said the audio is synced, so thank you for that feedback. Let's just take a look at the heat map today. Whoa, what's going on with paychecks? Down close to 6%. Mixed. Chips are up. Mega caps are mixed. Again, end of quarter. Oil's down. OPEC says they're going to increase production for possibly the next 3 months. I've been looking for potential after this drop buy setups. I'm going to be patient. It's got to be a strong buy setup. We're against key support in oil, by the way. Groups, let me just refresh this. Technology and utilities are actually gone slightly positive. Technology, 10 basis points. Energy dropping, but overall, besides energy, it's sort of a quiet morning. Fed Watch still expects 2 cuts. Fear and greed in neutral mode. Schiller PE, 39.95. Can we get back over 40 again? What do we got? We got Nike. Nike, after the close, Nike still has a sloppy weekly double top it's playing out. So we'll see if that plays out. It's already hit, I believe, the first and second targets. And, I mean, we got some earnings tomorrow. ConAgra is probably the biggest one, but won't be market moving. And then, remember, next week starts kicking off earnings. End of next week. All right, thank you. They're missing 7 more seats. Simple majority is not enough. That's what I did not understand. That's why Christoph, who fills me in from Germany, most Senate legislation is subject to filibuster. And he's okay. Thank you. So they need 60 senators. That's what I did not know. Again, if I don't know, I'm going to ask. I don't know everything. I don't know most things. I am pretty good at technical analysis, though. At least I think so. You guys might disagree. By the way, what is this? What is this going on to the potential upside? What is that? Let me show you. This is, even though it's stretched out, it is a valid 1-hour potential double bottom. Because the first and second targets are within the move that started it. Remember, the candle bodies are the important thing for the move that started it. So I just marked that off. Those are the candle bodies, very significant resistance level. So if we did get first a break and then a close above 67.17. 67.27.50, 67.32.50 are the targets. Okay. This is also a very key breakout level. So whether you have the double or not, that's key resistance area unless the double triggers. Key support area right around 66.96, 66.95. So that's key support. If we do break down, we technically have an advanced clear path, and that's also a prior. If you look over here to what would be my left, this is also a breakout area. You see this key reaction candle, and then it rebased there and then broke out, retested as support. So these are your major levels going into this morning. At least those are the ones I'm watching. So I'll be using those as support resistance unless we break down. We either have to break down with momentum below there or break down and retest and roll over. Then it would become a short for me. Above here, it's resistance unless we break out, retest, or unless we trigger the double. The NASDAQ, is there a double here? Well, you'd have to come from this base to this base, and you see it's beyond the 25% harmonic. Okay, this little line's the 25%. I put it on there just so I don't always have to switch around. You see right there? So that is not a potential double, but we do have 24,850 is key resistance. Same thing. I need to either break above here with some momentum, or break above here and retest and prove this level can hold support. Until then, it is resistance. Or this is a little wider level for a breakdown zone. So either I need to break down below 24,785 area with momentum, or break down there, retest, and roll over. Why it's a little wider is we have some tails closer to 24,754, 755. So at least that, if we did break down, that would be an area I'd be at least lowering a stop on. This is an advanced clear path move. If we do break below 24,784, my first target is the breakout zone, closer to 24,710. If we do break the upside, since we cannot treat this as a double, what will I be looking at? I'll be looking at the area of around 24,895 to 24,900 as a first key target area, and then closer to 24,950 for a second key target area. People are asking for, all right, if you're intraday trading, can I explain things a little more in detail how I look at it? There you go. If there is no setups, then I will sit on my hands, especially end of quarter. So, thank you for chiming in also, Daniel. Hey, when are you going to be back in the area, Daniel? The Dow. Again, no potential double, even though it meets the pullback rules. If we come here, you see the second and third targets are beyond the candle bodies on the time frames that would be needed. All right. This is not, it's too sloppy on the 15 minutes. What does that mean? Does that mean that that's not a key point? It is still a key point. Above 46,750 area, either that turns into support or it still remains key resistance. And then if I look at this, it's a single candle clear, it's a single candle move. And if there's a single candle move on the 1 hour, there are two targets I'm using. Around 46,720 and then 46,750 areas. 4 targets. If it can sustain something above this key resistance area. Key support is coming in at 46,460 to 46,440. We break down there. You got a very key target area, though, at 46,375 and then right around 46,325. The Russell, the Double, which we've bounced off of and hit virtually the first and second targets, is still technically not invalidated. We got between the rollover zone yesterday and had a brief little rollover. I'm pretty much in neutral mode right now on the Russell, unless we can break back below the 21 EMA. Key thing, even on a rally, why I'm in neutral mode is because even on a rally, it hits this key potential rollover zone. So I'm being patient on the Russell. I'd rather personally look for the S&P and NASDAQ as the first key. Why? Because let's say we break up here. Key resistance is 2465. Which could be taken as a resistance trade. But if we break above there, you're slamming the 62.5 and also another breakdown zone. So that's where it gets really tight on a breakout. This could be treated as a rollover play or a key support still down here. So if there's a little bounce play, but again, the stronger setups, I always look to, that's why I analyze multiple markets, because I look to what are considered, and not always right, but right now the strongest setups to me are in the S&P and NASDAQ this morning. The Dow and Russell are secondary. If I had to choose third, it would be the Russell. The challenge with the breakout on the Russell is you slam into another price target. Now you start getting above this 62.5, then it's in the clear. But then you have another stopping point of about 24.83. So we're running into a lot of different key resistance areas. That's why it's not my favorite. VIX, again, we're slightly elevated because of a potential shutdown. End of month, end of quarter, but again, I'm just pulling off this double. It never followed through. DAX. Now, DAX is interesting. Closed above and retested yesterday and today this support with the potential of first cross. So now, as long as we can hold this 23,850 area, we'll watch for potential breakout plays. If we can't hold this level, then we'll watch for back-end consolidation. Yields pulling back to a support area. Going to be watching over the next day or so to see if we get a bottoming move, like maybe a percent B buy that triggers. There isn't one yet, but tomorrow there might be. Not saying it can't pull back more. But there's another key support area closer to 4.1. Got to be keeping an eye on that. Crude. We've pulled back to the key support area. Right now, yeah, it's just a little 1 hour percent B buy, not a very strong, very scalpy signal. Going to be watching to see like if we make a double bottom on a 4 hour here, something on here that's a stronger signal. Because I am still watching for a potential bullish setup down here. This has been major support. Now, we start closing below 61.75, which has been the low. Technically, the low close is 61.77. We start closing below there, I'll even be more patient. All right. Gold. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this monthly chart. If this was a stock, what would we say? What would we say? Would not be shorting gold. But if this was a stock, we'd be saying, hey, could this potentially be vertical up, vertical down? Yeah. It's getting way too... Now, trend is still up. On the monthly, look at the overbought status. On the weekly, look at the overbought status. I think it's going to take an issue with the equities that'll force some profit taking in here. But that's just hypothetical. Again, is this a topping pattern? No. Do we keep trading with the trend? Yes, because the trend is your friend until it ends, and you're not trying to top ticket. Are we getting a pullback? Can we easily pull back to the daily rotation zone? Yeah, and we're still getting waning momentum. Look at the divergences down here. Would I be shorting? See this? On each push up, we've got waning momentum. Running out. At some point, we're going to get some kind of sharper move, at least to reconnect with the weekly rotation zone again. But the first is the daily rotation zone, and key support is around 3,800, if we can even pull back that far. Oh, all right. Well, good, Daniel. Well, let me know when you're back. Until then, hope everything's going well for you. Good morning, Mark. How are you? Charles is not looking for much today in terms of market moves. Learn from my mistake. I had a resting order selling a 0-day iron condor fly yesterday. It executed while I was working. I did not get the notification. Damage control mode, had to roll it out. Okay. Yeah, I've had that happen, not with 0 days, but I've had something where I should have got a notification that a trade went off and I did not. So I'm just doing my stuff like, vacuum the house. There's nothing going on. And I'm like, sit back down in front of my computer and it's like, what? How did I get that position? Oh, oops. Yeah, been there, done that. Vacuuming gets in the way of a perfectly good trading day, I have to say. Vacuuming gets in the way of a perfectly good trading day. Oh, boy. Household chores. The house husband over here. So, I do all the dishes, all the laundry, all the vacuuming. Silver did have a really nice double top, at least for triggering a short term. Again, would I be shorting silver on a little 4-hour double top? No. But for taking something off the table, completely reasonable. Again, overextended from the daily rotation zone. Look at silver. We hit the next major harmonic, and look how overextended it is from the weekly, and look at the monthly. Can it keep going? Sure. Would I be shorting? Not yet. And again, on a 4-hour, not shorting. But could we pull back more? Yeah. How many resting sell orders are there for 4K and gold? Well, people love to target those round numbers. People love to target it. Could we easily hit 4K? Sure. Oh, sure. That's why. Can things that are vertical get more vertical? They can. Do not try to call a top in anything that's vertical. You wait for the reactions. And you're not trying to top tick any market. Mark's doing great and sitting on his hands today. Too much going on. We'll let the markets digest. See? You don't have to trade every day. You wait for your setups. Copper does have, it's a slightly lower probability one, but does have right at the key support level a double top. So keep an eye on that, especially if you're long copper. It would need a close, and I'd actually extend it just a bit for that closing price personally. Platinum, sorry for yelling there. Also, again, would I be shorting platinum? No. Double top already played out. But platinum also overextended. Could it fill this roll gap? Yes, it sure could. Could it still be in bull mode if that happens? Yes, it still is. Dollar index is very interesting. Also remember, people are saying dollar's weakness, dollar weakness, dollar weakness. Well, dollar hasn't been weak for a little bit now, since right around the middle of the month. And you still had gold on the run. So people saying, well, gold's up because of dollar weakness. No, dollars actually bounced substantially. Now, gold and dollar are starting to diverge. Remember, dollars put in what could be a potential major double bottom pattern. You can even see it on a weekly basis. I mean, a monthly basis. Okay? So, this is going to be interesting. Gonna be interesting the next few months. What else we got? I've gone long today. I'm sorry. Spiders, potential double tops, light gap down, so in a rally, 663.68 would be to gap fill. You've already had the other gap fill yesterday. Key support coming in at about 661.75. All right. Qs, also potential double top territory. On the gap fill to the upside, 598.73. If it starts breaking below yesterday's low, 597.41, there's still a gap left behind, 595.97. And yes, potential double top. Bitcoin, couple Sunday, Monday rally, not invalidating the massive double top pattern yet. Still, we got the weekly rotation zone holding. I'm still watching for rollover plays unless we invalidate the double. That would mean the weekly rotation zones held. And is this a potential double bottom? No, it's not. So it still is a key inflection point right around just above around 117.100, but it can't be traded as a double. Ethereum, a little bounce into the back in the rotation zone. What else? Tesla, not much though. I've already said my piece on Tesla. This is it's not a sloppy double top, by the way. Broadcom, by the way, this could be invalidated if it sells off, but we had a %B buy potential yesterday, could not even sustain above the prior day's whole high for any amount of time, and then came back down to a potential double bottom. So 341.95 is very key on Broadcom for a potential bounce play. Does not mean it has to go to new highs. But look where that bounce could take us, right between the 50 and 62.5. So I do have alerts set here for Broadcom. Now, if we start breaking below this double bottom base, then I'm watching first off for a return to 316 and then the potential gap fill, which also means crypto's breaking. I mean, not crypto. I mean, AI is breaking down again. NVIDIA. Is this a little minor double top? No, we have to actually measure this out. I actually have to measure this out, double check before I make a mistake, because it's very sloppy, but it doesn't work on either the 4-hour or daily time frame. Now, remember, on a weekly time frame, it's a little sloppy because there's a little reversal hitch in there, but it is still a valid double, and it would be out of the way of the weekly rotation zone. So if things break down in AI again, 164.07 is still very key over the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks, unless it's invalidated. And it would be invalidated if NVIDIA gets above 189.58. What else? What's Bitcoin? Where have you been, Dark Screen Sleep? What's Bitcoin trying to do? What's it trying to do? Well, it's bounced. But again, Bitcoin has a major double top that has not hit the first target yet and it's not been invalidated. So the probabilities are still to the downside in Bitcoin. Let's see. CBRL has triggered a 1-hour double bottom and has pulled back to the candle bodies. Crackle Barrel, yeah. That's a very aggressive, by the way, because it's still playing out a head and shoulders pattern. So that would be for an aggressive bounce play only. So yeah, could you bounce easily to the other side of this 1-hour or daily rotation zone? Sure. Would I be holding this for a longer term trade? No. But it could be a valid bounce play. There's your little 1 hour double that Sterling's pointing out. Is a very valid. Now, what did you want, Fragrances World? You're welcome, Jacob. Pie. Are you just hanging on? I'm not picking on you. Are you just hanging on to this? Should you be hanging on to it? Pi Network. Which one do I normally use for Pi Network? There it is. I think it's this one. There we go. There. Again, you broke down, bounced off. Again, it's the next harmonic area. There's the problem now you have is you've broken. Look at this big support base. If we look at to the weekly, look at this. You had a multi-week support base that was taken out. It's going to need some pumping. Somebody's going to need to pump Pi Network. Again, you're going to need, because it's just not naturally going to get there. It's oversold, yeah, but any bounce play would be to 0.3333, half of 0.6666. It's going to need some kind of pumping because this it's broken. Again, it traded below its initial, I'll have to call it the initial offering price. It could not sustain key support, and it's in a downtrend. It's going to need some, I don't know anything about Pi Network, but all I know from crypto is it's going to need some kind of pump from somebody. There's no significant bottoming pattern. Sorry, Fragrances World. I'm sorry. And again, on anything, people know where your stops are, know where if it trades to, you're wrong. Otherwise, you're holding for hope. And now you got to hope that there's some kind of pump that comes in. And it's there. Let's just see where we're trading. All right. Nothing new yet. Nothing new with this open. What you said, the VIX? The VIX. Not really. I mean, I guess people might be trying to hedge with the government shutdown. I don't know. If you've listened, I mean, we still have hedges in place. Hedges in place. If there's something disastrous happens with the markets, hedges in place. Otherwise, there aren't a lot of bigger short setups just yet. And the big things, remember, if we trigger these doubles, that's more of a medium term. We could get a pullback, but that's not disaster mode yet. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the feedback and all the information in chat. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for clarifying what's needed, why the Republicans just can't avert a shutdown on their own because that 60 rule. Well, I appreciate you tuning in, Fragrances World. You should tune in more often. You should tune in more often because even if you only trade crypto, you might want to learn some technical analysis for anything you want to trade in the future. Because I don't care if you don't trade futures or stocks, you can learn the patterns, you can learn the setups, and you can learn some technical analysis. And then it might help you because, whatever you trade in the future, at least you'll know. At least you'll know how to analyze a chart. The secondary reaction, Mike, I think that double will trigger. Let's find out. We had the secondary reaction which set up the double top. So let's see if it does trigger. Let's see. No, I don't think it'll trigger today either. I mean, that way we'd have to have a big collapse. But let's see. We already have our key levels. And there might be some front runs. We can look to that if it starts breaking down. I'll be looking if it starts breaking down for potential front runs below about 6660 in the S&P. Again, those would be very aggressive. Not today because of the end of quarter. Not even probably tomorrow because of the first day for, again, after window dressing. But there might be some aggressive things I'll be looking for. We have to still see around 24,600 in the NASDAQ. Again, not trading advice. I'll be watching this area, though, 6660 in the S&P. Those are the key areas. I did not go through them today, but that's what I'm going to be watching over the next couple days. With that, I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.